I start the video, just a quick shout out. Check out these two amazing beginner ASMR artists. The guys are just starting out, but they make really fine quality videos. Personally, I have been enjoying their videos for a few days now, and I love them. The sound is just perfect. So please go over to their channels, watch the videos. I really hope you would find something interesting for you as well. Thanks. Hello everybody. This is Lo-Fi Corner ASMR. And tonight I'm going to be reading to you a scary story from Reddit. I have skimmed through this, through the story that I've picked, and read comments, and I'm glad to say that I'm not the only one who thinks that this is a pretty scary story. Out of the usual Reddit stories. So I hope you enjoy it as well. So the story starts like this. One dad asked me if I wanted to go to hunting. I thought he meant for deer. I wish I was right. Dad packed his hunter starter pack, 2 Snickers bars, a gallon of water, a half gallon of milk, 2 protein bars, and a handful of Slim Jims. He was dressed in camouflage with his yellow sunglasses, the ones he bought off the TV. I didn't have the kind of gear he did, so I settled on hand-me-downs from Pat, a camo t-shirt, hiking boots, and tan Huggies. In a moment of muscle memory, I texted him to make sure it was okay to wear his stuff. It took me halfway through the message to remember that he wasn't going to respond. I put my phone in my pocket and followed Dad out the door. We got in his pickup truck and drove toward our destination. I didn't know where the hunting grounds were, but Dad said they weren't far. Outside, the sun was crawling into the sky, turning the black into shades of purple and red. I didn't know why we had to leave so early. Dad never explained it, and I never asked. We just need to get one thing clear today, right? Dad chewed on tobacco as he talked. What is it? I asked. When we have the shot, we can't hesitate, he said. Yeah, sure, I said. Dad took pet hunting every year, and all I heard was how good of a shot Pat was. Personally, I preferred video games and horror movies to sitting in the mud and killing woodland creatures. Mum and I would prepare the post-hunting feast of ribeyes and baked potatoes, which at least earned me some brownie points from Dad. When we hit the highway, Dad took the exit south towards Pittsburgh, which I thought was odd. I didn't know much about hunting, but I knew that there were a lot more deer in the Allegheny Mountains than there were by the stadiums. Do we need to get supplies or something? I asked. Dad picked up an old sheets cup and spit into it. Nope. more minutes of driving, we pulled into a hiking trail parking lot. Ahead of us, I could see a neighborhood through the trees. The trail ran along their backyards. We were the only car in the lot. Dad didn't say anything as he went into the bed and grabbed his rifle. I stayed in the truck, waiting for my orders. When it was time to hunt, Dad knocked on my window. I opened the door and followed him onto the trail. I bet you like how quiet the house has gotten, Dad said. I was walking behind him, carefully dodging the sticks he snapped with his boots. Do I like that the house is quiet? You're an indoor kid, he said, and the house was loud with everyone in it. I loved your mum, but she had opinions almost as big as mine. Pat and I mostly agreed, but he was starting to get a mind of his own. Dad laughed as he spit more tobacco into the mud. Ahead of us, the neighborhood was getting closer. I don't like the quiet, I said. Dad nodded as he slipped a bullet into the rifle. I was surprised how close the neighborhood was to the hunting grounds. When I imagined hunting, I pictured man-dudes in tree houses on the side of a mountain, no people inside. Wouldn't people be scared by the gunshot? I like quiet when I choose the quiet, Dad said. We didn't choose our quiet, did we? I didn't say anything. Instead, I chewed on the inside of my cheek. After a few bites, I could taste blood. I have to live in a quiet house because of another man's decision, Dad went on. Do you know how many times I was drunk in a bar and had thought of just driving home? I'm not a rich man. I couldn't afford a $20 cab every time I want a buzz. But I called one every time. I knew there were mums and kids out on those roads and I didn't want their blood on my hands. Dad stopped walking. Is that 411? He asked, pointing to a house. I studied it. In the distance, I could see the mailbox. 411 was written in block letters on the side. I think so, I said. The house was straight out of a James Bond movie. Massive windows, a back deck that wrapped around the first floor, Greek stages. There was a pool and a waterfall in the backyard. Although it was still early in the morning, there was a kid and a mum out by the water. The boy, probably about preschool age, had a remote in his hand. There was a small boat circling in the water. Dad took a knee and lifted the scope out of his bag. He slid it on the rifle. Have you learned about STDs? Dad was whispering now. He looked through the scope and adjusted it. Took him 3 times to get it right. His hand was shaking. STDs, I asked. Diseases with crazy names getting passed from person to person, Dad said. You have a fun night with a girl and wake up with a fist-sized lip. You know about those, right? I nodded. I looked back at the woman and the kid. She was kneeling down to him, rubbing his shoulder. She had this big smile on her face, like this kid operating this boat was the greatest thing to ever exist. She reminded me of Mum. You know about that? Dad asked. He was laying on his belly in the Mum and Dad are sitting dead in a car and he's skipping home to his family. Dad said. He only had a couple of bruises. Dad pressed his eye against the scope. We need to redistribute our pain, he said. I never went against my dad. He and I didn't have the best relationship, but there was a silent understanding between us. Stay out of my way, and I'll stay out of yours. But there was nothing to be understood here. Dad took a long, slow breath. As he exhaled, I dropped down and shoved the rifle's barrel into the dirt. Hey, he barked, pushing me back. Let's go home, I said. We don't have a home, he said. Dad turned on his side and kicked me. His foot landed hard into my stomach, sending me back into the mud. Please don't do this, I said. I tried moving closer again, but it hurt too much. When I breathed, I could feel the sharp edge of my rib puncturing something. I took short, wispy inhales like a wounded animal. Dad didn't look at me. He kept his focus on the woman and child. This is for you, baby doll, he whispered. The sound of his rifle echoed through the forest. I closed my eyes and buried my face in the mud. As the ripples of the blast softened, I heard a splash. Splash, 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 splash. I lifted my head out of the grass, blade by blade. The remote-controlled boat was still doing circles. The woman was looking into the pool, her eyes as wide as dinner plates. She stood quiet for a moment. When she finally screamed, her eyes didn't change. The only thing that moved was her mouth. It dropped open like a nutcracker's. The sound she made was raw and cavernous. As the boat slowed to a stop, the water under it turned purple, then brown, then red. Dad took his face away from the scope and cried. It wasn't the way he cried at Mum and Pat's funeral. Those were back-straight, tough guy cries. These were different. He wept like a kid who didn't get the right toy for Christmas. Then, as if hypnotized, Dad stood up, wiped the dirt off his overalls, then walked back towards the car. I watched him sort of